Remind yourself what life is all about. Adventure awaits in the all-new Photon Tunneling G7. Expand your lifestyle, your boundaries, your imagination. Find yourself in places where no one else can. Backed by our class-leading warranty and a national dealership network, you now have the confidence to go further. The all-new Photon Tunneling G7. Expand your lifestyle.
Straight ankle lock. Ankle lock.
Nico Britz.
So our next match here, we've got Nico Britz from Constrictor Jiu-Jitsu. He's going up against Gian-Carlo Torino from Mustang Athletic in Pietermaritzburg. Nico competed earlier today in the intermediate division, as well as Gian-Carlo. Did Gian-Carlo compete earlier today?
I believe he did, yes. I think they've actually, this is the second time they're fighting today, if I'm not mistaken. I cannot remember the submission, but I know that Nico subbed him early on today. We've seen some big wins from Nico before. I think sometimes he comes out a little bit slow in these matches and the guys with the higher pace catch him up. But if he can dictate his own pace and get going as he wants to, he's often very dangerous.
Yeah, he's got a very tricky guard, you know, like he plays all the conventional guards pretty well, but he's also got some of these tricky, like he's busy playing a rubber guard here, he likes to play like a top lock position as well. Very flexible. He's entered now into like this go-go plata position. If he can connect to his foot, Gian-Carlo's gonna have a problem. Gian-Carlo obviously understands the threat there, but yeah, so Nico's going to keep trying to get this.
Not something you see often.
Yeah, no, for sure. Once Nico can strip that hand off of the foot, you can start getting onto the connection. Oh, okay, he stripped it out. Kind of like limp armed out of it. You build some height and limp armed out of the position. Once again, both these guys compete in intermediate, so heel hooks won't be allowed in this match. So yeah, Nico today, he went up against Alexio Gonzalez and won by submission, followed by Prince Cornell from East Rand BJJ, won by submission, and also Gian-Carlo Torino, he also defeated by submission earlier today. I mean, if you're Gian-Carlo, you want that win back. I mean,
yeah, I feel like he's coming in with a bit more of an aggressive tempo in this match compared to the last one.
yeah.
You can see he's trying to hold that top game a lot more than in the match earlier today.
Yeah. Nico actually went on to do the advanced division as well and got 2 wins over Kevin Mayer, who is a SubKings Superfight vet. For Gian-Carlo, I think he's got his work cut out for him here. Ideally, like with someone with such a tricky guard, you definitely want to play a lot of pressure, take away the space. Kind of like Gian-Carlo kind of getting caught in this like mid-distance passing position, which isn't great for against someone like Nico, because you're giving him that space to start high-legging over and getting into like better guarded positions. For Gian-Carlo, either he needs to go chest to chest or he needs to go full distance passing to get around those legs.
Yeah, it's either completely connected or completely disconnected. I think when you float in this medium space, you allow that guy on the bottom start to let him start using his legs a lot more. It gets tricky once he starts to elevate you.
Oh, Nico entered that quite easily, but the problem is he doesn't have a decent connection on the arm. He kind of wants Gian-Carlo's arm in that omoplata position going across his hip line, whereas Gian-Carlo's arm, every time he's entered the rubber guard, has been extended straight. So it's been easy for him to like build height and then limp arm out. Nico's going to look here to get an underhook and then come up and then like actually sweep for a tight waist sweep. Gets up, already passes the guard, that's pretty good. Gian-Carlo's committed to this headlock position.
And Nico gets his head out. He seemed pretty relaxed during that whole sequence there.
From Nico's side, yeah, I mean, if you getting on top so easy, I mean, for him to now potentially jaywalk the legs and then like transition either to a quarter mount or hard knee slice to the inside and pass the side control, I think would be the play. But I think he keeps trying to like revert back to the bottom position, which is...
Yeah, I also feel like he's getting this, he's trying to get this head and arm choke. But I feel like it would be a lot easier once he gets the pass done. Gian-Carlo doing well on the guard retention, but again, like you said, I think Nico wants to be on his back, so he's not fighting it too hard.
Okay, we've got shin to shin entries, going to elevate, get on the single leg X.
When you create that off balance like that with Gian-Carlo, you don't think it would be a better idea to come up and onto the back there instead of letting him?
Potentially, I mean, especially if the guy's going to be trying to evade, starts exposing his back as he turns and tries to like pull the leg out. Obviously, you want to try and climb up to the hips and then get onto the back. Ideally, what Nico needs to be doing in that shin-to-shin position is actually off-balancing him and getting him to do a mat return, so his hands come down to the mat and then entering onto the leg, because then you've got a much better chance to get a decent connection and bite on the actual leg.
Gian-Carlo attacking this guillotine again. And Nico doesn't seem too phased on it.
Yeah, now he's going to go for one flu because the arm is trapped in there. Nico just needs to walk a little bit closer to the north-south position and then drop his pressure into the neck. Gian-Carlo isn't holding onto the guillotine anymore. His hand is actually trapped in that position. Now Nico jumps onto it. He's trying to get onto the neck himself. Look, we only have 2 minutes, 10 seconds, and it's been fairly one-sided towards Nico's side, so I think he's going to start attacking those submissions quite aggressively now. I mean, he has been attacking them quite aggressively up to this point, but I think he's going to up the intensity going through these last 2 minutes.
He's going for a first stroke here.
Now it's a triangle, but a bit loose. Gian-Carlo manages to turn out of it.
That is one consequence of this rule set. It often allows even the grappler who wasn't necessarily aggressive through the match to be able to come in at the end with the overtime.
For sure.
So it's a potential, especially if you're the kind of player, if you can feel like the match hasn't gone your way, to just go super defensive and ride it out and try again in the overtime.
Yeah, I mean, you know, every rule set has pros and cons to it, but we've definitely seen it a lot over the past couple of years where guys who maybe there's a significant gap in skill set, they'll push hard to try and get this into the overtime position and then obviously ride it out. And you know, you can be on the beneficial side of that, and you can be on the downside of that. So it does work both ways, but yeah.
55 seconds left. At what point do you feel like, okay, it's too late to get a sub?
No, I think as long as there's time on the clock.
Yeah, that's on.
Oh,
he needs to get that low body connection. Oh.
Look, it still feels like both guys are maybe not, are either feeling the exhaustion from competing so much earlier in the day, or are happy to ride. Both of them seem happy to ride it out to the overtime. We only have 10 seconds almost, so there's not a lot that's going to happen here now. Both guys should be potentially trying to conserve their energy for this next overtime period.
And that's it. That's how we went to overtime. How do you decide which position to choose in this overtime position?
So difficult. I think it's like a per fighter basis, you know. Guys that are really strong in the armbar position would obviously favor the armbar, but potentially won't want to defend in that position, you know. Like the thing with the armbar is that there's a much higher risk of, or the spiderweb position, as you guys would know it as, there's a much higher risk of being submitted, I feel, but also a much higher possibility of escaping. You know, it's definitely an easier position to escape, but it's also a far riskier position in my opinion. You're actually almost starting in a full submission, you know. Whereas with the back, it's a lot easier to control, but I feel like it can be a lot more difficult to submit from there.
Nico's on. Looks like he's on the neck here. We
have 2 minute overtime periods here. if both guys ride out the full 2 minutes, there'll be additional overtime periods until we can determine a winner.
And obviously with the SubKings rule set, it's only 1 round of overtime each, with submission taking preference. So it's like, if you can sub first, he has to sub in order to beat you.
For sure.
And vice versa.
Gian-Carlo is not even trying to disconnect the lower body connection, but he's going to try and spin in on Nico. But Nico's connection is pretty good. He's gone with a single underhook there and with the choke arm across now.
Also at this point, super difficult to hold on to the guy when he's that sweaty.
Yeah, that's almost out.
At this point, I feel like Gian-Carlo needs to explode.
Ooh.
There you go, nice out.
So 1 minute 20. Nico's got 1 minute 20 to escape. Alternatively, Gian-Carlo needs to hit the submission.
Obviously, we know Nico's camp is something they train quite a bit. I think he's comfortable in this position.
I mean, you see so many different strategies for the back position in terms of escaping. You know, you got some guys who only focus on disconnecting the lower body connection and using the fact that you're both sweaty to try and like spin out of it. And then some guys are more obsessed with disconnecting the upper body connection and getting their shoulders and elbows to the mat. I think Nico's going to be out here.
Yeah, that's it. Just gotta keep spinning, keep spinning, keep spinning. Go, go, go.
Yeah, that's out.
Good escape from Nico.
So Nico wins that in overtime. Took him 13 seconds to escape.
I think Gian-Carlo will be happier with that after getting the sub loss early on the day.
For sure.
He'll have to take it through to the end.
We'll see a replay of it now. Nico kind of went into a tripod position, got his hips high, and then just used that, once the lower body was slightly disconnected, just used that like gator roll to get out. Very difficult to follow the guy when he's just rolling out like that.
And with our stage setup here.
Remind yourself what life is all about. Adventure awaits in the all-new Photon Tunneling G7. Expand your lifestyle, your boundaries, your imagination. Find yourself in places where no one else can. Backed by our class-leading warranty and a national dealership network, you now have the confidence to go further. The all-new Photon Tunneling G7. Expand your lifestyle.